Okay, all right. It is October 13th, and I'm so excited to be able to have all of you join us tonight for a very special class on breast health. And many of you know that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And as I thought about what I wanted to share tonight, I hold regular classes for my teams on Tuesday nights, Zoom classes. I thought, you know what? Wouldn't it be so great if Laurea Stirling would come and share her story with us? I remember the first time I met Laurea, I was at my very first convention. I had heard about doTERRA on a Tuesday and convention was Friday, and I showed up with a few people, a few of our team leaders, Elise Shedeby, at that convention. And you know what's really unique about that, I've found out since, is I was not even enrolled yet. If you know Elise, you know, we sat with her on Tuesday and she said, hey, we're going to convention Friday. I'm buying your tickets and we have a fancy dinner Saturday. And I said, dang, that sounds fun. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it sounds fun, right? And that's when I came, and Laurea's sweet sister, Teresa Harding, who many of you know, sitting right next to me. I started to get a headache. She gave me a peppermint, and that was my first doTERRA experience. So I remember meeting Laurea there and just having this instant, it's like this instant connection. If any of you guys, for those of you who have met her, you know this, right? The smile, the $1 million smile she has with those amazing dimples. And she just makes everybody a fast friend. And so I'm sure that you have lots of special friends, but I feel like I'm a special friend of Laurea's, even though we don't see each other very often or talk very often. It's just that connection. So she's a special woman, such an amazing woman. We know that men are only as successful as the woman behind them, right? And they a lot of times don't get as much credit, but Laurea is a powerhouse superwoman who has supported her husband, and the two of them are a dynamic duo together. I just love seeing them interact. And amazing 9 children. So Laurea, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to you now. I will share my screen, but I'm going to let you share your story and then we'll get going with that here. So
okay.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So grateful to have you.
Well, I am super excited to do this because I think it is so important for people to be aware, right? But I wish I could see all of you. And Crystal is right. I love everyone. So with Crystal, it was an immediate kindred spirit kind of feeling. But I'm really wishing I could see all your faces. But I do want to share my story because I do understand that everybody has a completely different story. Each situation, when it comes to breast health is really unique. And with that, you have to walk your own path, but it is good to have help and support and know that there are so many resources. And I'll tell you that when I found out, I was in my 40s, and actually I'd not been feeling well for about 6 to 8 months, and nagging in the back of my mind was that ugly word. And I worried about whether I was going to have to face that. And it was tossed out of my mind. For any of you that know me, I'm very much go, 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 and always have a mazillion projects I'm trying to do. And so at that time, I still had several children in school and was doing a lot of volunteering, involved in the PTA. And I remember one morning, I was running out the door when the phone rang, and I ran back in to answer it, even thinking, why did I pick this up? Because I don't have time for a phone call right now. And on the other end of the line, this woman's voice said, you need to get a mammogram now. Just exactly like that. And I felt chills from the top of my head to the bottom of my toes. And I said, hello? Hello? But there was no one there. And honestly, I call it my call from heaven. I hung up the phone. I was thinking, was that a recording because I'm over 40? And I looked and there was nothing on the caller ID. It was really incredible. And at that point, I decided I'd better go get a mammogram. And so I did. And, you know, when you walk in there and they tell you, I'm not sure I can see clearly what's going on. I'm going to go get someone else to come in. You immediately recognize that, well, they probably have found something. And so I had to, what was supposed to take 20 minutes, I ended up being there for about an hour and a half or longer. And those of you who have been through the process will know that it's not very fun. But I have looked through the slides that you're going to see tonight, and I just want to say it's important to know how to check yourself so that you can know what you're looking for, because people would always tell me, you need to be able to check your own chest and make sure that you don't have any lumps. And I never knew, yeah, but how do you do that? So I hope that you're open-minded enough to see there's a slide coming up that will show you how that's done. Please don't be offended. Our bodies are beautiful, and God is given us this gift. I consider my body a temple, and it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something, it's a great gift. And I am concerned sometimes because I feel like many girls grow up being a little ashamed, because when it comes to intimacy, we're always told, don't watch, don't see, and this feeling comes over that it's bad or wrong. And it's not. It's one of the most beautiful gifts we've been given. Of course, always used within the appropriate bounds that God has given us within marriage. But I do hope that you will find this presentation to be beautiful and helpful and hopeful, because there are so many resources. So of course, as soon as I found out and word started to spread, then there were many, many people coming to give me advice or help me with what I might need to know. And I was welcome and open to all of that, because I know I don't know everything, and I was seeking for any kind of help that I could. It was right about this time that DDR Prime had just been formulated and become a part of the company products. And my husband told me to start taking that. And so I did. And along with the other oils and other helps that I was trying to use, honestly, I started slamming my body, because when you're afraid that you might not live, you're pretty much willing to do just about anything. And I was on that and several other oils that I used. And of course, I was changing my diet. I was reading voraciously on whatever I could find. And from the diagnosis to about, it was 3 weeks after, I felt a very strong change in my body. And I just knew within myself that it was gone. But you never know for sure, right? And
Dice que de repente sintió que ya no tenía el cáncer.
so
Sintió que ya no
so
tenía.
anyway,
Hey, you guys, can you make sure you're all muted, please? Thank you. We're getting feedback.
okay. So what happened was, I was told that I had about 3 to 4 weeks before they wanted to do surgery and remove everything. And of course, I didn't want that to happen. But after 3 weeks on DDR Prime and other oils and other products that I was using, I went back to the doctor and I said, I'm pretty sure that I don't need to go through with any of this, because I think that it's gone. And of course, the doctor informed me that in this situation, you cannot know for sure unless you take out all the tissue. Because if they just take out some of the tissue, there might be something left elsewhere. And so I was really in a turmoil. And ultimately, I did bow down to the fear. And so the reason I tell you that is because I think it's really important that you listen to yourself. Everyone has to make their own decision, and it's not right or wrong. It's a journey that you have to walk through. After the surgery, when I visited with the doctor again, he said to me, well, we're very pleasantly surprised. We couldn't find anything. So it was a double-edged sword, right? Because I hadn't followed my feelings, but now I had an absolute that I could share with others. And so the most important lesson I learned through all of that is that make God a part of it, but also listen to yourself. Listen to your body and really work at finding peace within yourself. Because if you're driven by fear, you'll make decisions that could be detrimental. And for some, surgery is exactly what's needed, okay? For others, perhaps not. And you need to be responsible and go to the medical research and doctors and get as much education as you can and inform yourself. And with you and those that love you, it's important to let them be a part. Now, having said all of that, I also recognize that not everybody is going to have a release from what they're facing. And for some reason, I was given the gift of life to move on and move forward. It's important to realize that you have so many resources. I found a book that was called Beating Cancer with Nutrition, and I started reading it. And I loved that book. It's written by Patrick Quillen because he was not only a nutritionist and a dietitian, but he had worked with the American Cancer Society and had had many patients. And over 1,000 he'd worked with. And his book was powerful because it was so much about attitude. There were a lot of resources that he educated me on that I could go and search and find out for myself. But it was all about thriving, not just surviving. And so I highly recommend that. And if it is a point where you're really facing the end, I haven't had to deal with that, but I know that you can find peace and that you don't have to live in the fear. There were so many helps that I received. My doctor, my surgeon, had me go and look at a website that was called Beyond the Shock, and I found that to be extremely helpful. I want you to realize the medical world can sometimes be hard, but they are trying to save your life. And that's why they give you the advice that they do. And so it's important to gather all that information and then listen to your soul and figure out what you need to do. And then you can be at peace. Crystal, I don't know what else you want me to share.
Well, do you want to get into some of the protocols that you used?
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great.
And if you guys have a question for her or whatever, go ahead and just type it in the chat bar. And we'll try to cover what we can, but we're going to try to move through this fairly quickly.
Hang on. I lost. Okay. So
I do love this quote here. October is Breast Health Awareness Month, but for a survivor, it's every single day.
Yes. And things have changed for me. That was back in 2012 when I went through all of this. And it was just a while ago. But even today, if I'm ever, I have certain things that I still continue to do with trying to make sure that I maintain my health. But it changes over time as you continue on with life and figure out what it is you need. You can go ahead and change to the next slide.
Okay. I have a question. Somebody's wondering if you had surgery, if you did have surgery.
Yes, that's what I was explaining. I did. It was on one side, and that was the difficult decision I had to make. They actually recommended that I do both. And for me, that was something I had decided a long time ago that I wouldn't unless it was absolutely necessary. They were afraid it would come and grow both sides. And so I did have to have one side removed. And it's hard. I read at one point that when you lose any part of your body, even just maybe the tip of a pinky, there's actually a grieving that takes place within your soul. And I did experience that. I went through that. It was really incredible. I know they tell you that, well, if you have to go through that, we can just reproduce what you're missing. And no, it's not the same. They cannot do that. There's all kinds of issues involved. I'm grateful I did do reconstruction surgery, and I'm grateful that I can be as normal as possible. And even that's not a choice everyone will make. And that's okay. But no, they're not going to give you back what you're missing. And there's all kinds of issues, including blood flow. It isn't there because it's gone, right? And that makes everything a little bit cooler than the warm-blooded body that you have. It's really, it's a hard road to walk. But I have known women who have just absolutely decided, okay, I am just removing everything because I don't want to deal with it coming back at me. And every choice that each person makes is okay for them. There's not one right way.
Love it.
Do you want to move to the next slide?
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
That's where people get to take pictures, right?
Yeah. So this, I shared with her what I did to try and maintain my health. Okay. I immediately went and started searching the books and the internet. And I actually went to talk to some wellness advocates that had done a lot of healing through the years and knew a lot more than me, and asked if they had any suggestions that might help. And this is what I did and found it very powerful. The one difference here is at the very top, I knew that frankincense had research showing that it was really powerful to just rid your body of all this unwanted material. And so I started drinking it. I told Crystal on the slide, you really probably should put 5 to 10 drops. I was doing a lot more than that, and I've since learned less is more. And I had some articles by different chemists who had been studying the oils. And a lot of what I chose to do was from the research of Dr. Nicole, who now is one of the scientists, right, that we get a lot of our research from. And she had found so much. And right about the time that I had been diagnosed, David had a trip out to Australia. And when he came back, he told me that he'd met with a doctor who had found that lemongrass was doing a lot to shrink those materials in those tissues inside your body. And so I started putting that on topically, and I knew that it was already within some of the products. I'm trying to remember now all of the oils that are contained within DDR Prime, but I was really slamming myself a lot. And I completely went off sugar and dairy because I was looking at the nutrition books, and because I know I understand that that's a debatable point, but that was simply because I was using a lot of the processed foods and I wanted to get that out of my system. So lots of water. You can see that I was doing vitamin C in the book from Patrick Quillen. He explains, this is the reason I loved it so much, because it was just a lot of practical information. He said there's a big myth out there that vitamin C will cure this. Well, he explained that the reason people think that is because when you do the science studies, you see that if you put vitamin C into your system, all those cells will conglomerate to the vitamin C, because vitamin C is exactly the same molecular structure as sugar, and it thinks it's sugar. So it will conglomerate to that, and it's not there, so they starve. So that's why vitamin C can be helpful. I just learned a lot of little pieces like that from the book, which was extremely helpful. So
And how many milligrams of vitamin C would you do? When you say a capsule, how many milligrams were they?
oh, well, I don't know if I remember exactly, but I usually will have a bottle with the 400 milligram unit and take one of those. So I was really just in the unknown, trying to use all those resources, right? And when I run across anyone today that has the same situation, trial that they're facing, I will immediately say, please get on cinnamon right now. And in the book, he recommended get as much cinnamon as you can. Of course, it had nothing to do with essential oils. So I spoke with some of our experienced experts at the company and was told that they felt comfortable if I wanted to do a 4 to 6 drops in this kind of a situation once a day, that it's likely the liver could handle it. All of these are suggestions, right? And we're learning so much more now with the technology as it's increasing and the studies that we have. So anyway.
You remember that your first experience you told me that you did with cinnamon?
Oh, yes. So I had the mind frame, well, more is better, right? So I filled one of those 00 capsules, gel caps, completely with cinnamon and swallowed that. And within minutes, I was in a panic thinking, oh no, what have I done? I've just killed my body. But my body processed it all right, but I was on fire anyway. So be wise. 1 drop of oil is powerful, okay?
Sometimes that's how we learn, is from hearing other people do a little like that, right? That's why you're saying less is more. Just start with a little, right?
Exactly. Okay, so the bottom of this slide, you see that it says the purple drink, okay? So I have to tell you that a very dear friend of mine that worked at the company came to me, and she's Chinese, and she said, are you open to anything natural? And I almost laughed, of course, absolutely. And she showed me a book that was all written in Chinese, and it had pictures of different foods all over it. And she told me that this book had been written by a doctor in China who at 30 years old was diagnosed with lung cancer and went in for surgery, and they opened him up to get out as much as they could. But once he was open, they just looked at it and closed him back up and said, we're so sorry. You need to go put your life in order. And at that time, she told me he's now 75 years old, and he's written this book about how foods can heal your body. And she said, this is one of the recipes that he has in the book. And so I started taking it. And it's 5 fruits and 5 vegetables. And I still do it today. My sister, Teresa, had to deal with this same situation in her life. And she will tell you that she attributes a lot of her healing to this drink. She calls it 5 on 5 because they're basketball players. But these are the ingredients. You have a carrot, a cucumber, celery, a tomato, and beet. Okay, and then you have the fruits, which are strawberries, grapes, pineapple, apple, and dried goji berries. Okay, I believe it's on the next slide.
2 slides from here. Next slide is going to be the oil protocol, and then we'll do the purple drink.
Okay. So that purple drink is amazing. And if you'll move it to the next slide, then I can tell you one of the, this one here, that I was taking these oils in a gel cap, and I just cycled through exactly how she has it here. And the wellness advocate who helped me to do this was basing it off the research by Nicole Stevens. And this is what I was taking, this and DDR Prime, for 3 weeks. And that's when I felt a very definite shift in my body. And I just felt confident. I felt healthier. I wasn't so tired. There was just something different. I will also tell you this, as I was taking the frankincense under my tongue, I actually felt, when I would do that, prickling sensations in my chest. And I thought to myself, really? Is it actually getting in that quickly? But I chose to believe that it was going after those bad cells and promoting good ones. And I know from different research, in the very beginning of the company, the University of Oklahoma had done a research, and theirs was frankincense with different types of the same disease, but they were having amazing results and showing that actually frankincense was helping the good cells to grow and multiply and getting rid of, destroying those bad cells. Anyway, all these little pieces of information were so helpful to me. So I would
just to clarify.
Yes.
It says fill a double capsule, take morning and evening. So is that like?
So what I did was I actually was taking a gel cap of each one of those. So I would swallow 3 gel caps every morning and 3 every night.
And you would fill it. You would fill a whole capsule of frankincense.
Yes, but you can buy the smaller gel caps, right? They have various different sizes. Mm-hmm. I believe doTERRA only has the one size that they do, right? So
this was a smaller size?
I was doing 0.0, the size that doTERRA sells.
Okay.
But I have to believe it wasn't necessary to take that much. I just didn't know as much back then. And also someone sent me an article about that whole subject and explaining how it gets into the cells in your body and why it's better that you have less, not more. And that if you take too much, it can actually prevent and not help solving the problem. So I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist. I just was reading a lot of material. And so when I found that out, I started doing a lot less because I just didn't believe it was necessary to do that much. But we're on this learning curve with oils, right? And getting more and more information all the time. It's wonderful. But this is what I did. Yes.
Okay,
And
so
I did that for a 3-week period.
3 weeks.
Yeah. And then after that, I continued with the DDR Prime and the other things that I was doing. But once I knew that I was different and felt that it was gone, then I stopped. I didn't do all of those. I would do things topically, and I would not take as much. So
So
today,
what would you
I don't.
suggest to people that are already, that haven't had any kind of diagnosis, that seem like they're healthy, right? Is there something you would suggest preventative, or what you're doing
I
currently?
think I think this would be great, but if you're not dealing with any disease, I honestly believe a couple of drops of each one of those is sufficient.
Mhm.
That you wouldn't need more than that.
Yeah.
It's difficult when you just have to follow what you feel, right? And when you're in a situation where you know you're invaded, then I would absolutely say that I would probably do that again.
Yeah. That's when you get aggressive, right?
Yeah. But there's no absolutes here, right? These are suggestions, helps that hopefully will do all of you some good. I just am such a firm believer in the power of the oils and their healing ability, and good nutritious foods. We're learning more and more about that all the time.
Well, and if you go back to this last slide, I mean, look at how much we're getting in if we even just followed this as a daily protocol for health, good health, you know?
Yeah. Yes. And I'll tell you what, also, now that I'm older, I absolutely still will use cinnamon. I don't take cinnamon every day, but I have found for me, when I start to deal with hot flashes, I will just put a few drops of cinnamon under my tongue. I've gotten a little tougher. Always had to used to do it in the gel caps, but and I still will do that too. But I'll put 2 or 3 drops in a capsule, and for me, it solves the issue, and I don't have to deal with those hot flashes.
Wow, that is fantastic.
Yeah, it's been wonderful for me. I know different women that use different oils seem to help them more, but
That's
these
great.
are just some of the things that I was doing. And this purple drink that I was talking about before, what I'll say about that is I use a Vitamix. Some people have a blend tech, and I've heard different people say one is better, one is not. It's the Vitamix that's worked best for me. I couldn't ever get the blend tech to puree the vegetables because I wash them and I cut them and put them in raw. So they're hard. And then I'll put a cup of water in with all of that. And sometimes more, I just, however much water you want, according to the consistency that you like. And my Vitamix would just immediately puree all of it into a shake-like substance. And I would use the greens sometimes. I learned that it's the greens that make the drink ferment when you do a smoothie. That's why if you're doing a green smoothie, you're drinking it as you make it and you can't save it. But sometimes I would want to make an entire pitcher full and put it in the fridge and save it for a few days. And so then I wouldn't put the greens in because I didn't want it to start fermenting. But they're certainly good for you. So that's what I recommend. And I still do that drink today. It's beneficial for so many things in the body. might be fun just to take a night and go through all the different ingredients and how beneficial and why they're beneficial to your body. But it's powerful too at helping your plumbing just work and be smooth. So
Love it.
also, I'm trying to remember now. I remember being told there are certain ingredients that will help you to absorb the iron from the beet better. And I probably shouldn't have brought it up because I don't remember now if it's vitamin C or something else. But if you take that together, the absorption is more. We really need
the strawberries.
Oh, okay.
And iron and vitamin C are ideal.
Yeah, and strawberries are strong in vitamin C, right? So that probably is where the connection is. I'm sure many of you out there know a lot more than I do. I'm just here to share my experience. Yeah. But yes, I highly recommend that. I still take that drink today. And I make my family drink it, and my grandchildren love it. And all their parents think they're crazy. It's actually not that bad. It's not a super sweet shake, sugary drink, but sometimes if you want it a little bit sweeter, just put a little bit more pineapple in it. But it was great for me. I don't have a problem taking it at all.
Yeah, you're used to it, right? It's been 8 years.
Yeah.
So I remember when you gave me your protocol, and I went and made this shake one day, and I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. But I didn't know the pineapple trick, right? And maybe that's before I really tried to go off of sugar and can, handle it a little bit better. But I remember seeing you at another convention as we were walking up the escalator, and I said, do you still do that purple drink every day? And you said, every day, me and my family. And I was like, oh, what a good mom.
Yes, my family jokes about it all the time. Sometimes I can get David to take it.
Oh, sometimes. Oh, I'm gonna have to razz him about that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have someone asking specific color of grapes. Does that matter?
I never knew which one I was supposed to. And so sometimes I do green and sometimes I do purple. I don't know. Okay. It just said grapes when she gave me the recipe, so I'm not sure.
Well, if it's a purple drink, it's got to be purple grapes or red grapes, right?
Well, yeah, that was my name for it. So anyway.
I have someone also asking, is there any substitute for fruits? She has a sensitivity to grapes.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that, but you could make it and not put the grapes in.
It's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then what do you use when fresh pineapple is not available?
I have used the canned pineapple, but I really try to avoid that. If for wherever you are, if pineapple simply just is not available, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just not a nutritionist. So I'm wondering if you could order dried pineapple online, maybe.
Interesting.
And use it that way.
Frozen.
Yes, or frozen. The goji berries, I am able to get at Winco here in Utah, but I'm sure any Chinese store would sell it because that's where it comes from in China. And they're dried. So what I'll usually do is put aside how much I want to use in my drink and then add water to it, or I'll put them into the blender first and then add the water while I add everything else. And then it just helps everything blend up real nicely.
Great. Do you prefer to use the organic, or do you get?
I do. I have to say that maybe it's better today, but labeling on food is so marketing, and there's nobody out there regulating it, not really. So anyone can make a claim that it's organic or not, but I have to believe if they're claiming that it's organic, it's probably better than what I would get otherwise. So I don't always use organic, but it's probably your best option.
use the oils to clean our fresh fruits and veggies too, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so we do have another question about your surgery and stuff. I want to keep going here, and we'll answer that. This is I kind of just lumped this in together so you guys can kind of see. You've already seen the oils for breast health here that she's used. She also has added. Remember, you said you added copaiba now.
Yes, yes.
You take that daily?
Yes, that is one to take daily, and you can take it in a capsule or you can do it topically, whichever you prefer. But I've just talked to several of the people in the company who have more experience, understand the science better, and they don't go a day without it. So I think that's a great preventative.
And it's easy. We got it in a soft gel, right?
Yes, yes.
So
Absolutely.
you want to just explain this, the other ones here for pain or for nerve pain that you used?
Oh,
Anything you
well,
want to say here?
yes, that was because the Wellness Advocate sent me some of the research studies and things that have been presented by Nicole Stevens. So I really urge you to go look those up and study those. But I was not experiencing a lot of pain with that. It was mostly just weakness and I don't know how to describe it, shivery type feelings. And so I would use that for comfort. I had friends, of course, that were dealing with different types of this disease, and it was extremely helpful for them to be using that with their pain that they were dealing with. And let me take a look. One other one I would say was helichrysum.
Yeah, it's
Helichrysum.
listed on there. Did you just put it topically then on your pain?
Yes, yes, that was just topically.
Okay. Others, yeah. Anything else that
There,
you want to say here with this?
just that you know your body and you know which oils were I don't know which ones you gravitate to. So I actually thought that was crazy when I first was introduced to essential oils and didn't really believe that to be true, but I've since learned that it really is true, and science is proving it now, that our cells and the emotions that we have, that it's all combined tight together, and you will grab, your body knows what it needs. And just listen to that. I just hear myself talking and I have to laugh because I remember when I first became acquainted with essential oils, I thought that was the craziest thing in the world that people would say that. But I've come to understand what they're talking about. And some of the oils that I thought were horrific because they stunk so horribly, now are some of my favorites. And I've become accustomed and it doesn't bother me as much. But I've also recognized that they have been very healing to my body. So it's just interesting to watch the journey that you go through.
Yeah.
So you're not going to do any harm by trying different things. And we learn early on with oils too, that everyone's chemistry is a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
So there will be oils that you will find to be so helpful for you and maybe not so much for others.
So I think what I love about this here, you guys can see this slide, there's a lot of oils on here, and the point is not to be overwhelmed, but to have an idea of some options and use what you have on hand, right? Look at this and go, okay, what do I have on hand here? Or follow, a couple of her other protocols that she's got in here. And like she said, go to what your body's being drawn to and trust that intuition, right? That's where we get the gut instincts, right? We can trust our intuition and then use what we have on hand and use what we're being drawn to, I think is key, along with some of our top basic things that products that are suggested for health. So
pay attention to the chat list that's going on too, because you've got people on here
yeah,
who are so experienced with the chemistry of the oils and have so much more knowledge than I do. And also remember, this was back in 2012. We have more oils now.
yeah, it's true. And others are mentioning pink pepper, and I'm going to bring that up here in just a minute. Actually, we're going to have something fun where I'm going to offer with that. Pink pepper and DDR prime, key as far as that goes. Have you added, I mean, how ironic with breast cancer with at the pink ribbon, pink pepper. Have you added pink pepper at all or tried it?
No, because I'm not experienced with it and I don't know that much about it. I certainly will now.
Oh, I will send you some info. It is like,
yeah,
it's powerhouse oil. I mean, it's newer, right, for us. And so it's a powerful oil. Yeah, I'll send you some info on it. Okay, so somebody wanted to know if, you know, since your surgery, what's happened? You've gone in for follow-ups, or you had to have, like, what's kind of been your post?
I don't go do follow-ups anymore. They told me, I think it's been probably 3 years ago or more now, that they didn't need to see me anymore, that I was fine. And I don't know what their protocols are for following a patient years after. I just know that they were happy. And so I haven't gone back because I feel healthy. I feel fine. If there are times,
How often did you go in after your surgery though? What did
oh
that
my
look like? Do
goodness,
you remember?
I don't remember. I think it started out with every 6 months they wanted to see me, and then they knocked it back to a year. And I remember my last visit, they weren't checking my blood. They didn't do anything. They just sat down and talked to me and asked how I felt. And I thought, well, this is pointless, isn't it?
Interesting.
But so I'm a lot more aware of my body now and how I feel. When you're going through something like this, you notice everything, and it's easy to let it grow out of proportion, little things that happen, because you're worried that every single thing might be an indicator. But you do need to listen to your body. And so as far as that, they just would space it out longer over distancing the time, because they just didn't have anything to look at or see.
Yeah. Okay.
I had a friend that I met going through my process, and she actually had been given an amount of time, and it was in her bones, and she was such a beautiful woman. And I shared with her what I'd been doing, and she just went to town with all of it. And listening very closely to her doctors and having her regular visits, she lived for another 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
And felt good until the very, very end. So there's just so many different resources for us.
It's true. Love that. And you know, for some, it's going to be a preventative thing, and others, it's going to be addressing it head on with what they're dealing with right now, right?
That's
Do you
exactly
mind if we go on to the next slides, and we'll kind of
okay.
try to, now you guys, I'm going to share with you something that I'm going to host November 1st. So if you'll hold on, I want to share with you a fun thing I'm going to offer here. But we're going to cover, so just kind of overall, we're going to cover a couple of basic things again. And Laurea has, I don't want to talk too much about what she's already talked about, but let's just reiterate a couple of things that she did talk about here. Proactive steps to ensure long-term breast health, right? Treat your body with kindness and respect. Listen to your body, right? Early detection, lymphatic breast self-massage, and then using the essential oils. And we'll just kind of, again, highlighting, here's another book from a lady who stage 4 colon cancer, and she's an anesthesiologist, and she listened to her doctors, but then she started doing her own research and decided she would kind of figure out what worked for her and be proactive. And she has this book called How to Starve Cancer. So I thought I'd include that book also for any of you that'd be interested. I just bought it myself. My mom just, her anniversary of her death was yesterday for passing away of a cancer that originated in the gut. And so for me, I'm doing all I can. A lot of this stuff's going to just cross over, right, for cancer cells. And so eating nutritious foods, avoiding sugar, getting exercise, sleep, I think is a key one. Limiting alcohol and smoke, staying at a healthy weight, right? Taking care of our body as best we can. Drinking our purple drink every day, right? Early detection is key. I loved, I think everybody had chills when you shared your phone call you got. And sometimes we just need a wake-up call, literally, to remind us that we need to be being proactive with our health. I remember Dr. Brannon Riggs, as I went and toured the Primary and Health Clinic and spoke with him, had kind of an individual tour with him and another doctor. He said, you know, the thing that I really want to reiterate to wellness advocates is quite often as wellness advocates, we get where we're so passionate about the natural health side and look at the medical side of things as bad. But he said, it's not. We want people to be proactive. And we've heard this and talked about it. He said, we need to be able to bridge that. And he's highly encouraging wellness advocates and customers to continue to be proactive. Even if you don't feel like you're sick, get a yearly exam, or get, your blood work done on a regular basis, so that you're staying on top of things, because early detection is key with any kind of disease or health issue, right? So you talked about having a mammogram. I know there's some other options as far as this goes, especially age 40 to 45 or older. You mentioned you were in your 40s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And maybe you can talk about this a little bit, this lymphatic breast self-massage, and I'll give a protocol here in a minute that we can use for this. But again, helps detect unhealthy breast tissue, helps promote lymphatic drainage so toxins can be flushed out, helps relieve muscle tension in the chest and back, promotes self-love and deeper connection with your own body. And it's safe to do on your own in the comfort of your own home. Do you have a recommendation on how you would do a self-massage here?
Well, you can see in the picture how you just have to feel around all the area, and you're just feeling for any lumps. And the reason it's important to do it regularly is because you'll come to know exactly how yours feel, because it's different for everyone. There's different tissues. I remember when I had, they kept me there to try and figure out what they were seeing on the screen. And then they had me go into a room, and they had different methods to check and see. And he was, I'm trying to even remember what it's called now, but, and I was ignorant of many of the details and after effects and what cause and effect of different types of checking for the disease. But they were asking if I wanted to do a needle check, and I didn't do that. I went in later and had the surgeon just go in and see. But it was just interesting because he was talking about the tissue. He was afraid to even do that process because my tissues were so different than normal that he was afraid. I learned later, basically what he was trying to tell me was, I don't have a lot to work with here. and so and so you just have to know how you feel. And so if you do it regularly, then you will be able to know if there's something different there that wasn't there before.
Yes. When I was about 25 years old, I went to a regular, yearly checkup, and I didn't touch my breasts. I hadn't done this. I hadn't learned any of that. And he checked and found a lump on my left breast. And I was really quite shocked. And they ended up checking it, and it was non-cancerous. I don't remember what they call it, but so that's been something that I've continued to then stay on top of checking, and you can tell, right? Like there's been no changes. I've had continuous checks, and as you, like she said, get to know your own body, and you're not ashamed to do that, to take care of your body, or to do your own breast exam. You're gonna be able to stay on top of things better than anyone, right?
Yeah, you just need to make sure that you feel firmly around all of the entire area, so that, and if you do it regularly, you'll start to know exactly what to expect and what to feel.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, somehow I don't know what's happening. I'm getting some drawing on the slides.
Not
Okay,
here.
here's some essential oils that are helpful as far as the breast massage goes. Any of these can be utilized. Helps balance, detoxify, and soften breast tissue. Again, helps improve lymphatic circulation and the immune system. And then it reiterates here, essential oils with high amounts of monoterpene and D-limonene help stop and regress abnormal cell growth. Essential oils applied to the skin with a carrier, such as a lotion or a coconut oil, release their therapeutic benefits into the circulatory system. Now, I highlighted a few of these oils and kind of explained in here why they are so effective. If you want to just take a picture, a snapshot of this so that you can have that on hand, that's great. We've talked a lot about some different oils here, and I'm not gonna go into each one specifically. Here are a variety of essential oils that can be used with our breast health, and I'm gonna cover these ones as well. So frankincense, again, what we've got here, marjoram, neroli, and rose. Now I didn't do a slide for pink pepper, but like many of you have talked, right? Pink pepper is the bomb. Pink pepper is pretty powerful. We're still learning about pink pepper, and I'm telling you, what I read about it is one that I think especially women can benefit from on a regular basis for a variety of purposes. So when pink pepper kind of first came out, I did some studying and I found this breast detox, and it was recommended to do this breast detox about 4 times a year. And I gathered a group of women together, and we did a breast detox for 30 days. And we did it as a challenge. I have one thing I've kind of ended up creating kind of by accident, maybe, or, maybe by, I don't know, just some of my creative juices. I love to follow a recipe, I guess. And I love to do things with other people, and I do much better when I feel like I'm getting to do something with other people, right? That's why women like to go do workout together or do exercise classes together. But this breast detox is 30 days. You take four drops of frankincense, grapefruit, and pink pepper, put it in the palm of your hand with a carrier oil, and you massage the oil onto the breast twice a day. They help support breast tissue repair, lymphatic drainage, improve circulation, and promote cellular repair and regeneration. So to me, this is a great place to start. Some of you are going to want to go gangbusters and take all of the information you had tonight and you just start applying it, right? Sometimes we just need to start simple and small, but do something to get us going. And hopefully many of you who are already wellness advocates or customers are utilizing our DDR Prime regularly, are utilizing Copaiba, utilizing Lifelong Vitality Pack, and then a variety of essential oils. Man, I'm going to up my cinnamon after I heard you share tonight, right? Increasing vitamin C for overall health and wellness is key. Frankincense is a great one as a daily. Is there anything else as far as before we close up here that you'd like to say, Laurea?
Just, I love all of you, and I'm so grateful for everything that you're doing to let people know about the power of essential oils. I am so grateful because I can't tell you how many people will come up to me and say, thank you for giving me my life back. It really is powerful. And you guys are out there doing it. So thank you.
That's so sweet. Yeah, you can see, you can feel Laurea's heart and love, right? Just right through the screen. Even though we can't connect, you know, physically, it's amazing how much we can feel your heart. And I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be on here for the last hour, hour and a half. And I mean, for all that you and Dave do to lead such a powerful company, you guys are our leaders and we follow you, and we're so blessed to have such amazing leaders that we get to follow, and we share because of what you guys have done. So
thank you. You are very kind. It takes all of us, right?
yes. So, okay, anybody else? Anything? Everyone's saying thank you. They love you. It's a wonderful presentation.
I love you back.
Yeah. Oh, you guys, thanks so much for joining. It was great having all of you here. I'm sorry we maxed out, but I'm not sorry we maxed out. I wish we had more that could jump on, but that's okay. We'll share the recording, and if you can, my name is Crystal Nyman. I don't know if I ever introduced my name, but if you have any questions at all, you can snag me, private message me on Facebook, or you can find me on Instagram as well. But if you can, please go back to your leader who invited you and get the recording from there, just so I don't get lost with too many messages. Okay. All right, you guys. I look forward to seeing you with the Breast Detox Challenge, and have a great night.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thanks, Laurea.